I was honored to meet Judge Moore when I was a high school student, actually. We are members of the same church. We were at that time, at least. And I first observed Judge Moore working in the community and serving in leadership in my church. I later became aware of the fact that she was a judge, and at that point connected with her to talk about my aspirations. And over the years, I had an opportunity to visit with Judge Moore in various courthouses where she has served, ultimately having the tremendous honor of running for elective office and succeeding her here in this division of Superior Court. So initially, I did not work with Judge Moore in the legal sense. We worked and served in ministry together at our church, Cascade United Methodist Church. And then after I went to law school and returned to the city of Atlanta to begin practicing, eventually coming to the district attorney's office, I appeared before Judge Moore only one time. And when I appeared before her, I was actually covering a calendar for a colleague. But Judge Moore swore me into the bar as a lawyer here in the courtroom where she once presided and where I now have the privilege of presiding. And she has been a wonderful champion in my legal career and my judicial service. What I was able to observe about Judge Moore over more than 3 decades of judicial service is what I would describe as servant leadership. She served as an extraordinary jurist here on the Superior Court of Fulton County. She is a woman of many, many firsts, not the least of which was having served as the first African-American woman chief judge of the Superior Court of Fulton County. She led with integrity, she led with grace, she led with respect, and she upheld the highest standards. And she was, for so many of us, a role model of not just what a judge is, but what a servant leader looks like. When I was elected to serve on the Superior Court, she encouraged me to become a member of the Judicial Council of the National Bar Association, which I ultimately did, but she also was one of only 2 judges from the state of Georgia at that time who actually ascended to be chair of the Judicial Council of the National Bar Association. Her service is legendary, not just in and around metropolitan Atlanta and the state of Georgia, but throughout this nation. Many people don't know it, but Judge Moore is one of few judges who has been honored by the United States Supreme Court in the halls of justice as an extraordinary jurist. She was honored at a special dinner, and there are not very many judges who are able to say that. And so it has been a tremendous honor and a very humbling experience for me to be able to serve in the courtroom where Judge Moore swore me in now as a judge. She has set the kind of example that I hope jurists around this country, and certainly I have tried to set. Not just being servant-minded, but she also was a brilliant legal scholar. Judge Moore's scholarship, intellect, and scholarly endeavors are known to many. And many people may also not know, but Judge Moore was also a very keen student of history. And so she served as archivist for a number of organizations. In fact, when she moved out of this chamber and I ultimately took over, she had boxes and file cabinets filled with important papers, programs, proclamations, photographs. In this courtroom are not just the portrait that honors her, but also the portrait of one of her mentors, Judge Horace Ward, who served as the first African-American judge on the federal court here in the city of Atlanta, the Northern District of Georgia. She was just an extraordinary woman, one of a kind, and I don't know if there will be anyone ever quite like her. Judge Moore elevated the judiciary. People thought more of judges because she wore the robe. The thing that I think Judge Moore has done that has been instrumental in my judicial service is her attention to providing the kind of service as a judge that allowed people to know that they were seen and heard, and to have confidence that there would be fairness and justice in this courtroom. Every case that came before her, I believe she treated with care and caution. She was faithful to the law. She was intentional about seeing individuals, whether they were criminal defendants, whether they were victims of crime, whether there were plaintiffs in lawsuits who'd been injured by doctors who committed some type of mistake in a medical procedure or had been seriously injured in car accidents or as the result of a faulty product, or even corporations and other types of defendants who were defending actions that were brought against them. Judge Moore took her time with cases and made sure that she handled those cases one at a time with respect for the litigants who came before her in doing so. And so I have, in the work that I have done, tried to be intentional about treating each case with the care that it deserves, because even though it may just be a case to everyone else, for many of the individuals who come before this court, those cases are very, very important to them, and the outcome of those cases often shape their lives. And so I am always mindful of the impact that the decisions that I make every day are not made in isolation, but will in fact have an impact on someone's life in some shape, form, or fashion. That has been the legacy that she has left, and certainly one that I try to observe each day that I come before the public in this service role. I think in honoring her legacy, the thing that we can all recommit ourselves to are the principles, the very important principles of equality and justice. Judge Moore always tried to ensure that people who came before her had their day in court. She also was intentional about providing opportunities for young lawyers and giving them a pathway to whatever it is they aspired, whether it was serving on the bench or being at a silk stocking law firm, or starting their own law practice or in some other type of public service work. Judge Moore was accessible, and she was able, I think, to have the common touch that allowed members of the bar to feel like they could have a conversation with her when they saw her at a reception, when they saw her at church, when they saw her out in the community at different types of events. And so I think recognizing and recommitting ourselves to that very important notion of justice and equality and being service-minded. I think being servant leaders is what we're called to do as legal professionals. We have a set of skills that not everyone possesses, and it often allows us to be the healers of the community that I think we're called to be. And so I believe that that is Judge Moore's legacy. She will never be forgotten because her impact has been extraordinary, and her footprint is all over this city and this nation. I am honored beyond what I am able to express, to have had the opportunity to succeed her and to serve in the very courtroom where she served. I don't believe that there is any higher honor on this court. I am in this place, and I am always reminded of who she is, the sacrifices that she made, and the opportunities that she has afforded to so many, not just me, but to so many. And so I think that is her legacy, and I am hopeful that in the years that I have served, that I have been able to do just a small measure of the work that she has. Certainly no one can fill her stilettos, no one. But I am honored to sit in this court and serve, and to be able to recall with great fondness the legacy of a jurist the caliber of a Thelma Wyatt Cummings Moore. I just want people to know that in addition to being beautiful on the outside, Judge Moore was a beautiful person on the inside. She was strikingly gorgeous. We've talked about just how keen her intellect was. But I think her legacy will be one of service. And it has always been my desire to pay my rent for the space that I occupy on this earth by serving. And that has been possible for me because I've had the pleasure and the good fortune of being able to see someone who has walked that walk. And so I believe that her legacy will be as I have described it. I believe people should know that her beauty emanated from the inside, not just because she was gorgeous, but from the inside. And also that her scholarship was bar none. She was an extraordinarily brilliant lawyer and judge. And I am excited to know that upon retirement, Judge Moore was able to get her First Amendment rights back. She was intentional about continuing to advocate for the concepts of justice and equality, and as it relates to this bench in particular, trying to do the work of ensuring that this bench reflects the diversity of the citizens who live in Fulton County. And so it was very important to Judge Moore to be on the front lines in ensuring that she was encouraging young lawyers to seek elective office by running for the bench, that she provided whatever assistance she could in preparing them for gubernatorial interviews, for appointments, and that she was able to be a sounding board as young lawyers were trying to chart paths that would get them in the best position to either be elected to run for elective office or be appointed by the governor. That is another part of her legacy that I think should not be overlooked. She didn't just get in a position and hold it for herself, but she was intentional about paying it forward in ways that she did not have to. And so it's important for, I think, individuals to know that that was her calling, it was her true passion, and she lived that out not just on the bench, but even after she retired. And I am one of the beneficiaries of the extraordinary work and service she has provided.